Have you ever wondered why some prospectors search for years without finding gold, while others discover it in places everyone else ignored? The truth is that valuable gold deposits rarely reveal themselves with obvious signs. Many experienced prospectors unknowingly walk past rich ground because they focus on the wrong geological clues. The Earth leaves subtle evidence behind, but only those who understand these patterns know where to look. Learning to recognize these overlooked indicators can completely change the way you search for gold-bearing terrain. Today, we'll uncover the hidden geological signs that most prospectors miss and why they could lead you one step closer to discovering gold. Experienced prospectors don't miss gold because they lack knowledge. They miss it because experience changes how the brain filters information. That's the part most people never talk about. When someone has spent years around creeks, hillsides, dry washes, or old workings, they don't look at the ground the way beginners do. They don't scan slowly. They don't question every surface. Their mind categorizes what it sees almost instantly. And that's where the problem begins. Experience builds mental shortcuts. Shortcuts save time, but they also discard information. An experienced prospector arrives at a location and within seconds has already decided whether it's worth attention. Not consciously, automatically. The brain says, "I've seen this before. This isn't it. Nothing new here." And they keep walking. The mistake isn't ignorance. It's premature certainty. Gold is missed not because it's invisible, but because it's dismissed too early. Most experienced prospectors don't realize how fast they're deciding. They believe they're evaluating carefully. In reality, they're filtering aggressively. Years of exposure teach the brain to prioritize certain signals and ignore others. Veins, color changes, iron staining, exposed bedrock, sharp contrasts. These become approved signs. Anything that doesn't match that internal pattern is quietly rejected. This is efficient. It is also dangerous. Because gold does not obey personal pattern recognition, it obeys geological process. The land doesn't care how many seasons you've worked it. It doesn't care what you've seen before. Gold accumulates where conditions allow it, not where experience expects it. Experienced prospectors often walk faster than beginners. They cover more ground. They trust their judgment. They don't linger where nothing stands out. Beginners stop too often. Experts stop too selectively. And that selectivity is exactly why gold gets left behind. Many experienced prospectors believe they are reading the land. What they are often doing is confirming what they already expect to see. Confirmation bias is subtle. It doesn't feel like bias. It feels like confidence. You look at a stretch of creek, no exposed bedrock, no obvious heavies, uniform gravel. The mind concludes, transported material, nothing settled here. But that conclusion skips steps. Gold doesn't require exposed bedrock to settle. It requires energy loss. Energy loss happens in many quiet, visually unimpressive ways. A slight change in gradient, a widening channel, a compacted layer beneath loose gravel, an old flow path buried by later movement. These features don't shout, they whisper. And experience teaches people to stop listening to whispers. Another reason experienced prospectors walk past gold is overtrust in efficiency. Efficiency becomes a badge of honor. I don't waste time on dead ground. I know what I'm looking for. I can tell within minutes. But efficiency is only valuable if the criteria are correct. If the evaluation system is flawed, efficiency simply means you miss things faster. Gold doesn't reward speed, it rewards correct interpretation. Many experienced prospectors pride themselves on how quickly they can eliminate areas. That skill is only useful if elimination is accurate. Most of the time it isn't. Gold is often present in amounts too small to announce itself on the surface. It accumulates slowly, incrementally, and quietly. It doesn't advertise, which means the places that look unproductive at first glance are often the ones that require confirmation, not dismissal. Experienced prospectors tend to sample less than beginners. They believe they don't need to test as much. Beginners pan more. Experts judge more. Judgment replaces verification, and gold hides in that gap. Another factor is over-attachment to previous success. If someone has found gold in a specific type of environment, certain gravels, certain colors, certain formations, that environment becomes their internal model. They unconsciously search for similarity instead of logic. So when they encounter a different looking area, even if the processes are correct, it feels wrong. They say things like, "This isn't my kind of ground. I've never found gold in places like this." That statement sounds reasonable, but geology doesn't care about personal history. Gold doesn't repeat itself for your convenience. Every region expresses the same processes differently. The physics are consistent. The appearance is not. Experienced prospectors often confuse familiarity with correctness. Familiar ground feels productive. Unfamiliar ground feels risky. So they stick to what looks right, even when it isn't. Gold is missed because experience narrows vision instead of sharpening it. Another overlooked reason is fatigue of attention. After years in the field, the brain stops giving full attention to normal ground. It stops questioning it. That mental fatigue doesn't feel like tiredness. It feels like certainty. The brain says, "I already know this," and stops observing. Gold ends up in places where observation matters more than recognition. The final reason, and this is critical, is that experienced prospectors often underestimate how much nature has changed since the last time they evaluated similar ground. Floods rearrange channels. Erosion exposes new layers. Human activity alters flow paths. A place that never produced 10 years ago may now be productive. But experience remembers conclusions, not conditions. People remember, this area was dead. They forget, conditions changed. Gold doesn't stay loyal to conclusions. It moves when nature moves it. So experienced prospectors walk past gold not because they don't know enough, but because they trust what you know too quickly. They decide before verifying. They filter before testing. They dismiss before understanding. Gold waits quietly while confidence walks away. And that's where we'll continue in the next part. Because the most dangerous thing in prospecting isn't ignorance. It's unquestioned experience. And that unquestioned experience is where gold stays hidden the longest. One of the most consistent patterns among experienced prospectors is not what they look for, but what they stop checking. Over time, certain actions feel unnecessary. Certain steps feel redundant. Testing feels optional. They've already done this before. So instead of asking the land questions, they begin answering for it. They look at a creek and assume the energy was too high. They look at a slope and assume the material never settled. They look at gravel and assume it's too young, too light, too transported. Those assumptions may be correct in many cases, but gold doesn't require perfection. It requires exceptions. And exceptions are exactly what experienced minds filter out. Gold often exists in places where conditions briefly changed. Not permanently, not dramatically, but just enough. A flood that slowed for a few hours. A bend that widened temporarily. A barrier that existed and later eroded away. These moments don't leave bold signatures. They leave subtle ones. And subtlety is what experience tends to ignore. Another reason experienced prospectors walk past gold is that they overestimate consistency in natural systems. They expect the land to behave uniformly over distance. They assume if this stretch didn't produce, the next stretch won't either. But gold doesn't distribute evenly. It concentrates irregularly. A productive pocket can exist 10 meters from completely barren ground. A pay layer can disappear and reappear based on minor changes in flow or structure. Beginners are surprised by this. Experienced prospectors often overlook it. They generalize too quickly. They stop sampling because they believe they already know the answer. Sampling feels inefficient when confidence is high. Confidence is the enemy of verification. Another factor that quietly causes experienced prospectors to miss gold is tool dependence. Over time, people learn to trust their equipment. Detectors, pans, sluices, classifiers, more than their observation. Tools are valuable, but they also create blind spots. If the detector doesn't respond, they assume nothing is there. If the pan doesn't show color quickly, they move on. But tools don't detect context. They detect results. Gold that is too fine, too deep, too dispersed, too masked by other material will not announce itself immediately. Experienced prospectors often forget that tools confirm presence. They do not evaluate potential. The decision to leave usually happens before enough information exists. Another subtle issue is that experience trains people to avoid disappointment. After years of effort, failed digs, empty pans, and wasted hours, the mind becomes protective. It avoids situations that feel unpromising. This isn't laziness. It's efficiency mixed with emotional self-preservation. The mind learns, this doesn't feel worth it, so the prospector moves on. Gold doesn't care about emotional fatigue. It accumulates where conditions allow, regardless of how many times people have been disappointed there before. In fact, some of the most productive ground is ignored precisely because it has disappointed too many people too many times. People test too shallow. People test the wrong layer. People stop too soon, and the area gets labeled worked out or dead. Gold stays. Another critical reason experienced prospectors walk past gold is misunderstanding scale. They expect signs to match the scale of the deposit. Large signs for large gold, small signs for small gold. But gold doesn't advertise proportionally. A significant amount of gold can exist with almost no visible surface indicators if the system is old, compacted, or buried. Experience often associates big finds with big signs. That association is unreliable. Gold can be quietly abundant, and quiet abundance looks like nothing special. Experienced prospectors also tend to underestimate depth. They assume that if gold is invisible or accessible within a certain range, it's not worth pursuing. That assumption is based on effort calculation, not geology. Depth doesn't remove gold. It only hides it. In many regions, productive layers sit just beyond casual reach. Below flood deposits, below compacted gravels, below layers that were never properly tested. Beginners dig randomly, experts dig selectively. But if the selection criteria are wrong, selectivity becomes limitation. Another overlooked issue is social learning. Experienced prospectors learn not just from geology, but from each other, from stories, from shared opinions, from reputation. Places become known as good or bad. Once a place gains a reputation, it becomes difficult to see it objectively. If everyone says an area is unproductive, People approach it expecting failure. They test lightly, they don't commit, they leave quickly. Gold remains untouched beneath collective assumption. Reputation is powerful. It is also often wrong. Gold doesn't follow consensus, it follows physics. Experienced prospectors are also more likely to avoid areas that don't align with their personal style. Some prefer bedrock, some prefer creeks, some prefer dry washes, some prefer hillsides. They become specialists. Specialization increases efficiency in familiar environments, but it narrows perception elsewhere. So when gold exists outside their preferred environment, they don't see it, not because it isn't there, but because it doesn't fit their mental framework. Gold doesn't care what kind of prospector you are. It exists where conditions allow. Another reason gold is missed is temporal blindness. Experienced prospectors often evaluate land as if it has always looked the way it does now. They forget that what they see is only the current surface expression. Gold may have been deposited under very different conditions. Older channels, different climates, different flows. Those conditions leave traces that are easy to overlook if you only evaluate the present. The land has memory. The surface does not always show it clearly. Gold often sits where history matters more than appearance, and experience sometimes replaces curiosity with assumption. Finally, experienced prospectors walk past gold because they confuse lack of confirmation with confirmation of absence. Not finding gold quickly does not mean gold isn't present. It means it hasn't been found yet. That distinction matters. Professionals understand this. Experts sometimes forget it. They mistake silence for absence. Gold is silent. It doesn't respond to confidence. It doesn't reward assumptions. It doesn't care how many years you've done this. It waits. And the people who find it are often not the ones who know the most, but the ones who stay curious the longest. That curiosity doesn't look like excitement. It looks like patience. It looks like restraint. It looks like checking one more layer. It looks like slowing down when nothing stands out. Experienced prospectors walk past gold without knowing because experience teaches speed, and gold favors deliberation. In the next part, we'll move into the quiet corrections professionals make. Not by working harder, not by working longer, but by adjusting how they decide. Because the difference between missing gold and finding it is rarely effort, it's judgment. Judgment is the quiet divider between those who stay busy and those who stay effective. The professionals who consistently recover gold that others walk past are not doing anything dramatic. They are not chasing new tools, new theories, or new locations constantly. They are making small internal corrections that most people never notice. The first correction is slowing decisions, not movement. They still cover ground. They still work efficiently, but they delay conclusions. Instead of deciding what a place is within seconds, they allow uncertainty to exist a little longer. That alone changes everything. They don't rush to label ground as dead. They leave the question open. Gold benefits from unanswered questions. Another correction is separating evaluation from expectation. Experienced prospectors often arrive expecting the land to confirm what they already know. Professionals arrive expecting the land to contradict them. That mindset keeps perception active. When something doesn't match expectations, they don't reject it. They investigate it. Gold often exists exactly where expectations fail. They also learn to treat boring ground as incomplete information, not negative information. Boring does not mean unproductive. Boring means untested properly. Professionals do not confuse emotional response with geological reality. They understand that excitement is not a diagnostic tool. Another quiet correction is returning to first principles. Instead of asking, "Have I seen this before?" they ask, "What happened here?" They reconstruct movement. They imagine flow. They trace material transport mentally. Gold responds to those questions. They also correct for experience bias by deliberately testing areas that feel wrong. Not randomly, deliberately. They recognize discomfort as a signal, not a warning. If something feels unfamiliar but makes geological sense, they slow down there. That's where others speed up. They also understand that not all gold wants to be found quickly. Some deposits require commitment, some require depth, some require revisiting. Professionals are comfortable leaving without answers and coming back later with better ones. That patience is not passive, it's strategic. They document, they remember, they adjust. Another key correction is refusing to trust reputation blindly. They know that most worked out ground was never properly evaluated. It was sampled poorly. It was judged quickly. It was abandoned early. Gold survives reputation. They also separate tool feedback from geological judgment. A detector not responding doesn't end evaluation. It changes the question. A pan not showing color doesn't end interest. It changes the depth. Tools inform. They don't decide. Finally, professionals stay aware of how often confidence tries to close the conversation. Confidence feels good. It feels earned. But unchecked confidence ends discovery. So they keep one rule quietly active. Never let experience replace verification. That single rule accounts for most missed gold. Because the truth is simple. Gold is not rare because it's hard to find. It's rare because it's easy to dismiss. It exists beneath ordinary ground, beneath quiet conditions, beneath assumptions. Most people, even experienced people, don't miss gold because they don't know enough. They miss it because they stop asking questions too soon. Gold favors those who delay certainty, and that's why experienced prospectors walk past gold without knowing, not because they lack skill, but because they trust it too quickly. If you take one thing from this, let it be this. The land doesn't reward speed, it rewards correct decisions. And correct decisions begin with resisting the urge to conclude early. If this changed how you think about prospecting, make sure you're subscribed. This channel isn't about shortcuts or hype. It's about understanding why decisions fail and how to correct them. If you've spent years in the field, I'd like to hear from you in the comments. What's one assumption you were taught early on that you've since questioned? And if you want more videos like this, focused on judgment, geology, and real-world decision-making, stay with me. There's still a lot of ground people walk past, and most of it isn't empty. Beneath your feet lies a story written in stone, a story of pressure, heat, and unimaginable time. A story of rocks that quietly hold fortunes, yet go unnoticed by nearly everyone who walks past them. Among these overlooked guardians is schist, a rock that rarely takes the spotlight, but has silently held onto gold for millions of years. To the untrained eye, schist may look dull, flaky, or even worthless. But to the prospector who listens carefully to the whispers of the earth, schist is a silent keeper of wealth, a geological vault concealing golden secrets. And once you learn how to read its language, you may never look at a hillside the same way again. To understand schist, you must imagine the Earth's crust as a restless painter, constantly reshaping its canvas. Rocks are not static. They are transformed by forces of heat and pressure, folded, squeezed, and altered until they become something new. Schist is born from this transformation. It begins as mudstone, shale, or volcanic ash, soft, ordinary materials. But deep underground, under immense heat and pressure, these sediments recrystallize into shiny, platy minerals like mica, garnet, and staurolite. This metamorphic transformation doesn't just make schist beautiful in its own subtle way, it makes it the perfect host for gold. Gold, unlike most metals, does not bond easily with other elements. It prefers to remain free, carried in hot hydrothermal fluids that snake upward through cracks in the earth. As those fluids cool, gold often gets trapped, but it doesn't scatter randomly. It seeks structural weaknesses, folds, fractures, and shear zones. And schist, with its layered and fractured nature, provides exactly the kind of environment where gold can quietly lodge itself, hidden away for millennia. This is why so many of the world's great gold belts are tied to schist. In the Canadian Shield, Prospectors' journals are filled with notes of schist zones glittering with veins of quartz and free-milling gold. In Ghana's Ashanti Belt, schist formations cradle deposits that have produced untold riches for centuries. And in Alaska, California, and Western Australia, schist ridges often mark the places where fortunes were pulled straight from the earth. To ignore schist is to ignore one of geology's most consistent signals for hidden gold. But here lies the mystery. Schist rarely shouts. Unlike ironstone, which paints the hills red, or quartz, which gleams white against darker rock, schist whispers in subtler tones. It may shimmer faintly with mica, or fracture in layers that catch the sunlight. Sometimes it looks ordinary, blending seamlessly into the landscape. Its wealth is not in its surface beauty, but in the secrets it holds within. Prospectors who chase only the obvious often miss schist entirely, walking over golden vaults disguised as dull rock. Imagine standing in a valley where the mountainsides gleam faintly silver gray. You pick up a rock that flakes apart in your hand. It doesn't sparkle like quartz or shine like pyrite. But if you knew the truth, your heart would race. For within those layers may lie veins of quartz infused with free gold. For prospectors, the challenge is learning to read the signs. Schist often appears in belts, long stretches of metamorphic rock that trace ancient mountain-building events. Within these belts, gold-bearing quartz veins frequently cut through the schist, sometimes barely noticeable on the surface. A faint line of quartz, tinged with iron staining, could signal a vein that runs deep underground. Even when no quartz is visible, the schist itself may contain microscopic gold particles, recoverable through careful crushing and extraction. To dismiss schist as unimportant is to dismiss the very foundation of many gold discoveries. History confirms this again and again. In California's Sierra Nevada, miners followed rivers downstream, collecting nuggets in pans. But when they traced those nuggets back to their source, they found schist hillsides riddled with quartz veins. In Alaska's Klondike, schist ridges provided the bedrock that trapped placer gold, guiding prospectors upstream to the lodes hidden in the metamorphic mountains. In Australia's Yilgarn Craton, greenstone schist belts hold deposits that have built entire towns and fortunes. Over and over, schist proves itself as a silent but faithful keeper of gold. Yet schist does not give up its treasures easily. Crushing schist to liberate its gold requires effort. Unlike soft soils that surrender placer nuggets with a simple swirl of a pan, schist must be broken, ground, and studied. Prospectors of old learned this through trial and error. They lugged heavy samples to stamp mills, pounding the rock to dust in search of tiny flecks of yellow. Many were disappointed, but those who understood schist's true potential became legends, discovering lodes that others walked past without a second thought. This quiet, almost secretive nature of schist is what makes it so fascinating. It doesn't lure treasure hunters with flashy signals. Instead, it tests patience, demanding knowledge, skill, and persistence. In this way, schist mirrors gold itself. For gold, too, does not reveal itself easily. It hides in the folds of rock, in the cracks of mountains, in the silent vaults of schist, waiting for the few who know how to listen. The financial world has also begun to understand the power of schist. Geological surveys map schist belts not because the rock itself has intrinsic value, but because of what it points toward. Mining companies spend millions drilling through schist ridges, betting on the silent promise of hidden deposits. Investors watch closely, knowing that when a company reports intersecting schist with quartz veins, the odds of a major discovery increase dramatically. Behind every share price spike, behind every gold rush town, there is often schist quietly keeping its golden secret. To ignore schist is to miss the pattern that links geology with fortune. Consider the irony. Countless prospectors have chased pyrite, mistaking fool's gold for the real thing. Yet beneath their boots, schist waited, carrying the very wealth they dreamed of. It is not the loud rocks that keep the biggest secrets, it is the silent ones. Picture a prospector climbing a ridge at dusk. The sun catches on thin sheets of mica, and the hillside shimmers faintly. To most, it looks like nothing more than glittering dust, but the prospector pauses, bends down, and picks up a piece of schist. He runs his fingers across the flaky layers, then smiles, for he knows that this is not just rock. This is a silent keeper of gold, a vault sealed by time, waiting for the right hands to unlock it. And so the lesson is clear. Schist is not a rock to ignore. It is a messenger from deep time, a silent custodian of fortune. Beneath its dull gray layers lies the story of heat, pressure, and hidden wealth. It will not shout its secrets. It will not dazzle the eye like a gem. But for those who know how to read the earth, schist is one of the most reliable guides to gold the world has ever known. The earth is filled with distractions, rocks that glitter falsely, soils that seem rich but yield nothing. Schist stands apart, quietly carrying the real wealth, waiting for the patient, the observant, and the wise. Perhaps that is why it has earned the title of Silent Gold Keeper. It does not boast, it does not deceive, it simply holds. And when the day comes that you recognize its value, you may realize that you have been standing on a fortune all along. So the next time you find yourself in the hills, pay attention not just to the obvious quartz veins or the flashy ironstone ridges, but to the quiet, flaky gray rocks beneath your feet. They may not speak loudly, but they hold stories of wealth that could change your life. Schist is the earth's silent promise, a vault of golden secrets waiting for discovery. And it is up to you to decide whether to walk past it or to finally listen to what it has been keeping for millions of years. Remember, the earth whispers, not shouts. And when it comes to gold, sometimes the quietest rocks are the ones holding the loudest fortunes. Stay curious, stay persistent, and never underestimate the silent keepers beneath your feet.